I was thinking that would start, I ask you questions and you answer yes or no. Were you the mastermind that cheated the Olympics?
Yes.
Hi there and welcome to Entertainment Stop. It's James and Ben here with another video. And in this video, we're just going to discuss the Icarus documentary from Netflix. So Ben, you've just recently watched it and I watched it a little while back. Give me your quick thoughts and your cliff notes on what you actually thought of the documentary.
I thought this documentary was superb because it basically started off with well, I want to say the guy that was doing it, Brian
Yeah,
Fogler,
Brian Fogel, yeah.
and he started off wanting to see if he could use drugs to help him do better in this amateur race.
Yeah, so he was essentially doing like the amateur Tour de France, wasn't he?
Yeah, they sort of take the hardest moments of the Tour de France and put them all into a few days.
Absolutely mental. I mean, why anyone want to do that to their body, I don't fully understand, but then I'm not a cyclist, so I don't know.
So yeah, he basically starts off by saying, "I want to do this. I want to learn how to dope so that I can see if I can do better in this documentary." And then he finds a doctor that he thinks will help him, but the doctor has second thoughts about ruining his career.
You can't blame him. So yeah, so he finds an American doctor, doesn't he?
Yes,
Who used to work with the Olympic Committee, the American Olympic Committee, if I remember
yeah,
correctly.
that's right.
And he puts him in touch with this Russian doctor called Gregory, who's quite open about blood doping and how to do it.
He's quite happy about it.
Well, do you know what the amazing thing about him being put in touch with Gregory is the fact that it changes the whole documentary, doesn't it?
It does change it.
So we start off with him learning how to blood dope from Gregory via Skype, and as you said before we came on, the guy doesn't like to wear a top when he's on Skype
No,
for some reason.
it doesn't wear any clothes.
It's really bizarre. I thought it was supposed to be cold in Russia, but this guy is like shirtless at all times when he's in his house. Yeah, very, very strange.
But when you put Gregory is like the head of this lab in Russia.
Yeah, so he's essentially the in charge of the Russia's international testing center,
Yeah,
isn't he? A drug
yeah,
testing center.
that's what he does.
And he's the lead scientist, so he's the head honcho.
He's the one that tests all the stuff and says if they're alright or not alright. But the thing is, he's so open
Yeah.
about at the start. He's so open about what he does. It's outrageous.
And the way that the story shifts is the fact that he's helping this documentary maker blood dope, but then we somehow segue into the fact that Gregory was responsible for the nationwide or the sort of state sponsored blood doping for Russia during the Sochi Olympics.
Yes.
And he goes on to explain just exactly how they managed to dupe the International Olympic Committee and how they managed to dupe them and change the urine samples and things like that. And to make it look like the Russian athletes were very, very clean.
But when he's explaining this, it's like it's an everyday occurrence.
Yeah.
There's no,
It's mad. Do you know what's so fascinating about it is he is so casual about it, and he comes over to America every now and then with his doped samples.
yes, they have to because at the time they're still thinking about doing this because they do the Brian Fogler does do the doping
Yeah,
for this race, and you see Brian Fogler actually taking the injections
yeah,
on camera.
yeah.
It made me wince.
And for the and it's weird because the first couple of times it's all about Brian and him doing his doping and your man Gregory helping him, and then he gets like a Skype call saying he's under investigation by the
Yeah,
IOC, and that he feels like he's going to be in trouble, and then he also starts to feel like he might be under surveillance from the is it the FSB? Is that what the Russian special sort of
Well,
intelligence?
it's just like the intelligence service, right?
Yeah,
They used to be called the KGB, but I think it's like the FSB now.
yeah. So he's under surveillance from them as to what he's saying and to who.
But then the thing that I didn't love, but I thought was interesting was he went from this this Gregory fellow went from this happy-go-lucky Russian to being the most paranoid person on the
Well, it
planet.
was because I think he was being threatened, wasn't he? And his family were being threatened, and
Yes.
he didn't know who to trust and who to talk to. He didn't believe he could trust anybody in the lab that he was working in, and the only person he felt like he could trust was Fogel.
He suddenly realised from being so blasé about it, he actually got himself into serious trouble.
He did, and it was quite interesting to see how he, as you say, he went from happy-go-lucky to really quite paranoid. And he was being asked if he would testify by the
Yeah.
Americans, and because of this, that he was starting to get threats and things from the Russians.
It was just such a change from the start of the documentary to now when he was so happy showing his dog
Yeah,
on screen, lifting the biggest dog I've ever seen in my life,
I know.
to just laughing with Brian Fogel like it was nothing, to being so paranoid.
And then he had to eventually leave Russia, and he had to leave his wife behind, didn't he? And that's really where the documentary turns. So he then moves in with Brian, or into a safe house that
Yeah.
Brian gets him, and Brian's production company gets him, and they start discussing his case, and it moved more on to his life and how he feels he's being watched and things like that, and how he's then going to start testifying for the Americans in regards to the statewide sponsorship of blood doping for the Russian athletes. And suddenly he's being threatened and all sorts, and he has to go into hiding.
One thing that I did take nobody, I noticed a few times that Brian Fogel looked like he was in over his head.
Well, I think he was.
He had a look of somebody that thought, I was going to do one thing, and now I'm into this totally other world.
Well, it completely changed his life because he felt responsible for Gregory after a while, didn't he? He had him over here. He was the one that got in touch with him. He was the one that asked him to, not that Gregory was innocent in all this. He said he would do it, but he did pretty much get him involved in his blood doping. And that's how all this stuff came out.
And there was a scene in the documentary where Brian Fogel was talking to all the different officials and telling them, because Gregory couldn't be there because he didn't want to leave wherever he was.
Yeah.
And this woman started having to go at Gregory for lying to her. And Brian Fogel pointed out to him, before you have a go at him, realise what he's gone through to give you this information.
Yeah, he literally put in his family and his own life in danger.
Because this woman was having to go at Gregory quite legitimately. But by that point, you could see the friendship
That had formed.
that had built up between the director and Gregory himself.
So Gregory's, what I believe, is still in hiding, yeah, correct?
Yes, he's still in
He's
hiding.
still in a safe house by the FBI, I think, or the CIA.
Yeah.
They've got him in a safe house in America. And this kind of becomes really pertinent to today because here in the UK, we've recently had what our government has come out and said is a Russian state-sponsored attack on British soil via a nerve agent attack on two Russians, one an ex-spy double agent for Russia and the UK. And you can understand why Gregory is so paranoid now after seeing that Russia is quite happy to strike within another country's borders, which would be unthinkable years and years ago.
But the thing is, they don't care.
Yeah.
They're not remotely interested.
And the Russians seem amazing at just diverting this attention away from them.
But because I watched this documentary yesterday and to see the parallels there was amazing, because they're basically using the same defence
Yeah.
for that as they are for this thing going on here in Britain.
Mm. And one last thing I'd like to cover is just how amazing it was the lengths that they went to
Yes, it was the
in
total
Russia.
lengths.
I mean, within the lab, they had like false rooms and things
There
that
was like
that
this
contained
plug.
all the different samples.
There was like this plug socket,
Yeah,
a hole in the wall that they made into a plug socket that they could pass the pass the drugs through, pass the urine samples through.
yeah, it's just unbelievable. And this is all to win. This is all to win an Olympic event.
Yes.
Just goes to show you, Ben, that maybe my idea is not so crazy. To have a
Well,
fully drugged up Olympics, then you wouldn't have to have any of these problems.
that'll be next, George.
We'd be setting some records. The Russians would do probably very well because they're used to it by now.
But one thing that I did notice also, just to end off, how Vladimir Putin didn't even seem, he denied it all,
Mm.
obviously in the clips, but the man didn't seem remotely worried at all.
Well, why should he be? He can just say no. He can just deny it, and his situation is never in doubt, is it, in Russia?
No, I suppose you're right, but it was just how, I knew that, but I think it was just how calm he was.
Well, again, why would he not be? Because I mean, the amount of sanctions that the rest of the world have already put in on Russia. What more sanctions can they actually introduce that's going to affect Russia and their economy that they're not already doing now?
But I just thought that it was just so calm. But there was a few people that had to fall on. There was a few government ministers that fell on the sword.
Well, well, they have that every time something happens in Russia.
But there was a bit at the end, and in what happened next, where they were saying that the new head of that lab admitted that there was things going on, but
Mm.
the Russian government didn't like that idea, so they retracted that statement the next day.
As if it never happened.
As if it never happened.
Amazing documentary, and one that I think you and I both agree on that people should definitely go out of their way to watch.
I think anybody that likes this is like an episode of Homeland or any drama on TV that you can possibly watch.
It felt like something out of 24, didn't it? It was ridiculous. And if it's on Netflix, so if you've already got a Netflix subscription, why wouldn't you watch it? It's probably for me one of the best, if not the best, documentary on Netflix. Definitely one of the best Netflix originals that they've done. And I didn't even know about it for a couple of months. It was just there, sat on the on my box.
No, it was just there.
Just wait, and you as I say, I watched it a few months ago, and you've only just got around to watching it recently, haven't you?
Yes, so
But definitely worth a look.
Definitely.
Definitely worth a look. Well, highly recommended from me. Ben, recommendation from you?
I can't give it a high enough recommendation. It's just, as I say, if you like drama, if you like even friendship,
Yeah.
then this is the documentary you'll love.
Yeah, so we can't do this documentary justice enough just by talking about it for 15 minutes. But definitely one that I would say go out of your way to see.
Definitely.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll wrap it up there just as we get close to the 15-minute mark. Ben, so where can people find you if they want to find you on social media?
At Ironside 1982.
Ironside 1982 on Twitter.
Yes.
And at James Allen Yo on Twitter for me. Any other points, Ben?
No, I think we covered it all.
Okay, well, thanks for watching today, and we'll see you in the next video.